Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be back at the Middle East Rail Conference for a second year and to have the opportunity to speak to you this morning about the latest news and developments from Etihad Rail. 2011 was an extremely exciting year for us at Etihad Rail, and we saw tremendous progress and achieved many significant milestones. Thanks, I have to say, to a dedicated team which has worked consistently extremely hard and overcome more than a few obstacles. We awarded all contracts for stage one of the network, including 3.3 billion dirham civil and track works contract at the end of the year, and work on our first phase is now underway. 266 kilometres of Etihad Rail's route network are now under contract, and sleepers, locomotives and wagons have been ordered to deliver our first service. We're getting closer and closer indeed to seeing trains run in Abu Dhabi by 2013. 2012 doesn't look as if it's going to be any quieter. We've had a busy start with the formal announcement from the UAE Cabinet about the finance for the first stage of our project, and a memorandum of understanding has just been signed with another major customer, the Al Dahra Agriculture Company. So I want to share a little first with you on the general development of our national railway network here in the UAE. Since Etihad Rail's inception in 2009, just over 2 years ago, under a federal mandate, and it was initially called Union Railway in English, Etihad Rail has made great leaps forward in developing a railway network that will connect the Emirates and also form a vital part of the GCC rail network. Our detailed planning during 2010 and 2011 has enabled us to move swiftly into implementation, and in less than 2 years since its establishment, Etihad Rail is now seeing the start of construction on the first part of the Landmark network, one that will be a catalyst for economic growth in the UAE and the wider region. So let's remind you first of some of the general background about the project. The 40 billion dirham Etihad Rail network will be around 1,200 route kilometres and built to the highest international standards. Though the railway will initially cater primarily for the carriage of freight, it is being developed to allow for the transport of passengers as well. The network will be mainly double track, designed for mixed traffic, equipped with an in-cab European signalling system to the latest ETCS Level 2 standard. It'll be standard gauge and built to accommodate twin-stack containers. These standards are compatible with the emerging guidelines for other Gulf countries' current and future railway plans, coordinated through the GCC Secretariat General. Freight trains will run at speeds of up to 120 kilometres per hour and passenger trains at up to speeds of 200 kilometres per hour. In terms of technology, we strive not to be pioneers in the field, but to use proven best practice, proven equipment, and standards that have been tried and tested around the world. We do this because we always put the customer first. For example, we have ordered locomotives which house a proven technology for filtration of sand, a feature critical to our environment, and such locomotives are also being used by the Saudi Arabian Railway Company for their new North-South Railway. Overall, the network will connect the country's key centres of trade, industry and population, and will be built in line with the needs of our current and future customers. In just 5 to 6 years, so 2017, 2018, the UAE will have a network that spans across the Emirates, connecting populations and opening up areas that currently have limited accessibility. The Etihad Rail network is being developed in 3 distinct stages. So let's first take a closer look at stage 1, the one that's now under construction. Stage 1, as I said earlier, incorporates a 266-kilometre route linking Shah, Habshan and Ruwais in the western region of the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. The link between Habshan and Ruwais is scheduled to be completed in mid-2013, and that between Shah and Habshan by 2014. As you may have seen recently in the press, and as I touched on earlier, all of the contracts for this phase have now been awarded. And most notably, our civil and track works contractors are now on board, and we're delighted to share with you the news that construction work is now underway. Our teams are active now on the ground, and we started ground clearing work near Merthyr, and you can see that in this picture, the larger one, adjacent to the site for our sleeper factory. So let's summarise the 4 main contracts for the first stage of the network, which were all awarded during the course of 2011. October 2011, first of all, saw the final and most significant contract of the first stage awarded. This was our civil and track works contract. It's worth 3.3 billion dirhams, and it was awarded to a consortium comprising Saipem and Tecnimont from Italy and UAE-based Dodsall Engineering and Construction. This contract comprises not only the design, procurement and construction of the railway infrastructure, but also the testing and commissioning, that's on a design and build basis, of all assets relating to completion of the first phase of the project. Second, and also in October, we saw the formal sealing of the partnership between Etihad Rail and the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. ADNOC is our first customer, and they've joined with us to build the first stage of the network in order to transport up to 7 million tonnes of granulated sulphur from gas production plants in Shah and Habshan for export from the port of Ruwais. Prior to these 2 important signings, over the summer, we saw, first of all, PCM Stresscon Ventures awarded the contract for the provision of railway sleepers. This Indian-based company will be responsible for the provision of railway sleepers in a purpose-built sleeper manufacturing facility at our railhead, which is at Merthyr. EMD, Electromotive Diesel from North America, have the contract to deliver an initially small fleet, 7 locomotives custom-built for desert conditions by 2012. That's the fleet we need for our initial sulphur flow. CSR Corporation Limited of China have been appointed to supply 240 covered hopper wagons for the movement of granulated sulphur in the western region. And I should mention that earlier in the year, a joint venture of AECOM and Parsons was brought on board as our project management consultants. Our stage 1 is going to have direct benefits to both businesses and individuals across Abu Dhabi, particularly those in the Emirates Western region. And stages 2 and 3 will gradually impact the country as a whole. With regards to the Western region of Abu Dhabi, we are truly investing in one of the country's hardest to reach communities, and it's a hugely important region for the country. Our investment of 3.3 billion towards the economic growth and social development of this region will make a big difference. For businesses, the railway will mean more opportunities to invest, to grow and to take on staff. We hope that all the activity for stage 1 in the Western region will amount to great opportunities for small and medium-sized enterprises, and we're working actively with our project management consultants and with our main contractors to ensure that we reach those small and medium-sized companies. Furthermore, with the construction, with the future operations as well, and with the general economic stimulus brought by the Etihad Rail network, we really expect that our project will create considerable new employment opportunities in the Western region. For the wider community, Etihad Rail has participated in the Al-Khabia Career Fair to ensure that we seek and utilise the best local talent, and we've also been working with key players and community members in the region, including the Urban Planning Council, the Western Region Development Council, and the Western Region Municipality. Etihad Rail already has a number of employees from the Western region, and they are playing an integral role in the development of our railway. And of course, from an environmental perspective, more trains mean fewer trucks on the road, and thus fewer accidents, making road journeys in the Western region safer and adding overall benefits. benefits to the environment as well. In fact, a fully loaded train can produce 70 to 80% less of the CO2 emissions that lorries generate to move the same tonnage. At the end of the day, Etihad Rail's network linking Shah, Habshan and Ruwais is about facilitating a process of transporting sulphur, which would otherwise require around 600 loaded lorry trips daily. Clearly, the positive outcomes and benefits of what rail can bring to both the western region of Abu Dhabi and the country as a whole, economic, social and environmental, are substantial, and we at Etihad Rail are delighted to be helping to bring those outcomes and benefits to fruition. With stage one in gear, I'd like to focus now for a few moments on what's next, including new partnerships that take us through stage 2 and 3. So, at the start of this year, as I previously mentioned, we signed a memorandum of understanding with Al Dahra Agriculture Company. This leading company, supporting agriculture and animal husbandry, headquartered in the UAE, plans to use rail as a more efficient means of transporting hay, the most commonly used animal feed in the country, and is ready to switch the very large quantities it moves to rail as soon as Etihad Rail's second stage is operational. The signing sees Al Dahra become Etihad Rail's first customer in the containerised sector, a steadily growing market in the UAE and in the wider region, with an expected traffic of 15 million TEU at Khalifa Port alone by 2030. We are also continuing fruitful discussions with the country's port authorities in order to see our network take a leap towards efficiently and effectively connecting with major ports and logistics hubs. And finally, we're currently in discussion with quarry owners in the Northern Emirates, as there is a significant level of demand for quarry products in the country, particularly as our rail will be connecting a number of quarrying areas and connecting them to the centres of consumption of those products once complete. Finalisation of forecasts for this traffic and optimisation of our network tell us that these particular opportunities amount to an annual tonnage of about 32 million tonnes by 2030, or around half of our bulk traffic. Indeed, customer interest in what the railway can provide continues to grow tremendously, and we look forward to sharing more information with you and how this informs the shape and characteristics of our network in due course. Stage 2 will see the completion of the Abu Dhabi rail network and construction of routes through to Jebel Ali, covering vital traffic objectives such as Musaffa, Khalifa Port and Kizad, and of course Jebel Ali Port itself. This stage is extremely valuable and represents a significant part of our national railway network in both scale and scope, as it will connect ports with industrial and urban centres. It will also see the railway connect with international borders and the planned GCC network, linking with Saudi Arabia at Guaifat and Oman at Al Ain. The preliminary engineering for this stage is essentially complete, and we are actively working on service design and operational plans. What's particularly exciting and noteworthy here is that with the development of the first phase well underway and plans for stage 2 really starting to take shape, the Etihad Rail network is now advancing from being a single customer railway, as it is for stage 1, to a railway with multiple customers, with whom we are working closely to align our systems strategically with their business requirements. And finally, stage 3, the third and final phase of the network, will involve the implementation of the remaining routes, and we're already working with key stakeholders to finalise the shape of the network in this stage and the general concept alignments for those routes in the Northern Emirates. Alongside all of these efforts, we're continuing to develop our traffic forecasts on the basis of our now completed work with Wilbur Smith Associates. These studies are important as a source of key insights into our stakeholders' and customers' needs, and the model we've developed is proving to be a helpful tool for our fellow transport entities in the country as well. The freight component of these studies has given us figures on present freight movements in the UAE. It's given us rail freight demand forecasts and market shares, savings of truck trips by modal shift, and impacts of different network, economic and policy scenarios on rail demand. The freight study looked at the potential rail market in two main segments: intermodal traffic and bulk traffic. And on this, I'd like to share some interesting and encouraging statistics. So looking at the demand forecast for intermodal traffic, that's the travel of containers and commodities, Etihad Rail forecasts the annual movement of approximately 5.1 million TEU, 20-foot equivalent units, by 2030, with general containers comprising 65% of this total. In terms of origin, 80% of the general container traffic is expected to be international, underlying the attractiveness of regional rail networks, and Jebel Ali is the biggest generator of that traffic. Our demand forecast for aggregates, as I said, amounts to about 32 million tonnes by 2030. And the results also reveal the very considerable savings in truck trips that occur when modal shift to rail occurs. Overall, we forecast that truck trips will be reduced nationally by 21% in 2030 and 18% in 2020. The results and the analysis we've gained from our traffic study are a clear indication of the significant role that Etihad Rail will play not just in the UAE but in the wider GCC region as well. The region is currently one of the world's fastest growing markets for the rail sector, and our Etihad Rail network will form an important and integral part of the planned GCC railway network. We at Etihad Rail look forward to playing our full part in the essential harmonisation of regulatory processes, border controls, technical standards, planning and path allocation, and commercial agreements. Within the GCC, the railway will foster trade and cooperation and will be a concrete expression of the region's cohesion. We believe that the inherent security and controllability of rail transport will play a significant part in the development of seamless, streamlined intra-GCC cross-border transport to the benefit of the trade and economies of the entire region. And at Etihad Rail, we're committed to proactively engaging with our potential customers to explore their needs and to ensure that our rail network can positively impact their business and operations. It isn't just about forecasting and planning, it's always about customers, people who will pay for the service. Such planning discussions bring many advantages to us, of course, and to the customer, as the railway can then be a direct investment in their own requirements and needs. We are building the railway with essential input from future customers and partners. So in addition to signed memoranda of understanding, we hosted in the second half of last year 2 industry-specific seminars geared towards industry leaders in the retail bulk commodities and the wholesale containerized sectors. These seminars saw the formation of the Quarry Products Group as well as the Shipping and Freight Advisory Group. These 2 groups are now working closely with us to provide insight and expertise into what is required to build and operate the next generation of intermodal and bulk terminals. The third-party logistics providers who attended the advisory panel conference were surveyed to determine what the top issues faced by the industry are. Here are some of the early results from that survey. First, 81.2% of surveyed respondents from the container industry stated that they would use rail. 61% stated that their single largest commercial obstacle revolved around customs processes. Anyone from customs here? And more than 2/3 of them predicted that containerized commerce will grow between 4 to 8% annually over the next decade. These are all really valuable insights into how rail will integrate and support the region's economy. The logistics companies also indicated that rail's cost savings, reliable service, equipment availability and speed will be among the top reasons for a switch from truck to rail for their underlying transportation needs. These attributes are what rail can deliver to UAE and to GCC customers. So the Etihad Rail project is indeed happening, and it's one that will forever change the way freight and people move across this country. At this time last year, we gave you a picture of our countrywide network, our company's outlook and approach, and our plans for the coming years. This year, we can tell you that construction has started and that by 2013, tracks will be on the ground in the Western region setting the foundation for movement of the UAE's first mainline trains. I look forward to sharing more with you on the progress of construction of Stage 1 in the coming months, and would like to express my thanks to our team's unwavering dedication, passion and commitment over the last 2 years. It's indeed been a driving force for realising our national vision. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.